the season. You delved into it a little bit, and if I haven't heard a better opportunity for a transition, then I might as well go def or something, because I think you set us up perfectly to head into our second segment where we start ripping apart the surprises that came with the 7-day away depth chart draft. Really quickly, I just wanted to point out that Jimmy Lake, at the start of all of this, I think he tweeted this or released this information like minutes after releasing this depth chart. He said, I'm an equal opportunity employer. If you show that you know our techniques and schemes in all three phases of the game, he said, you're going to move up the depth chart. There are guys who have moved up the depth chart, and we absolutely have seen that. Nathan, who's someone you think that just surprised everybody out there in terms of where they ended up?
I think bringing up with what you just said, this is perfect transition, talking about Jimmy Lake saying if you play hard, basically, you can get a chance to move up. And at the safety position, that's where one of the shocking depth chart orderings was for me personally. I mean, last year you had Miles Bryant, and then who's now often graduated and he's into the NFL. But then alongside playing the other safety positions were split between Cameron Williams and Asa Turner. I mean, they both seemed to play good last year, good solid football for being young. Asa Turner was a true freshman. Not sure Cameron Williams, I think he was also a freshman, but don't quote me on that. So naturally, you think those two guys are going to be the guys starting safety this year, right? They were the only other two safeties that really played alongside Miles Bryant. But no, at the depth chart, you have Asa Turner, and alongside him, you have Alex Cook, who a lot of people don't know his name. He actually converted from wide receiver in 2018. So 2019, last year, was his first time playing the safety position. And I don't think he really played a snap of defense. He was a special teams guy, made a few tackles. And I mean, he played safety or defensive back in high school. As a senior, he had 92 tackles playing both ways. So he could do it on the high school level. I guess it wasn't working out for him at wide receiver. So they decided to switch his positions last year. He had a year in the Jimmy Lake defensive system, learning it, mastering it. And I guess coming into fall camp, he showed the coaches that he deserves the other safety spot. The Coach K, the co-defensive coordinator, said on Alex Cook, he said he's earned everything he's got by how he went about his business and playing fast and just playing physical. Which, I mean, what more can you ask for from a safety? You want him to be physical. You want him to be able to play fast. So that was really the first main takeaway I got from the depth chart, just the safety position. A little shocking, but, I mean, we'll see how it works out.
I mean, you want to talk about shocking, we can take a look at the running back or tailback, to be more specific, for the depth chart. The two deep has Kamari Pleasant and Sean McGrew, if I'm not mistaken, for the two deep.
It's Kamari Pleasant and then Sean McGrew or Richard Newton. So they haven't set a second.
They haven't set the second yet. Sorry, but Kamari Pleasant starting still is enough of a shock. Am I right? I mean, he's okay. So he's 6 foot. He's 230 pounds. He redshirted his freshman year of 2016. He's made 26 appearances out of 40 games in the past 2 or 3 seasons. 3 seasons he played. He's now a senior in his last year. Exact same story as Sean McGrew, redshirt freshman. I mean, same class, almost the exact same amount of game appearances. McGrew had 6 more on him out of the same amount of 40 games. Here's where it gets interesting, though. McGrew, who hasn't even been decided as a backup, he's just in the air, had 3 starts out of his 32 appearances, had 122 rushes, 627 yards, 4 TDs, really good averages, 19.6 yards a game on average he was gaining. Stuff like that. Great guy, right? Pleasance had no starts, was never listed as a backup for a significant period of time. Like occasionally he would get listed as a backup. And he had 63 rushes, 268 yards, only 2 touchdowns, and barely eked over 10 yards a game. Why McGrew isn't starting over him, I don't know, but there's one factor you've got to look at for that, and it has to be weight or size. I mean, Pleasance, 3 inches of height on McGrew and 55 pounds of weight coming out of fall camp. That is insane when you think about impact force, when you think about the ability to hit holes, to run guys over, to be the low man and win those one-on-ones. when you have 55 extra pounds of weight, I mean, you're doing multiplication to calculate force. You're not actually doing that on the football field. But for the guys on the sideline who might be doing that, yeah, 55 pounds is a lot of weight to add on to someone's mass when you're trying to figure out forces. And that's just insane. Now, the big question, though, that is on everybody's mind when it comes to the running back position, and Nathan, you can shout out a disagreement if you want, but I don't think you're going to, is Richard Newton not coming out on top here. Those statistics that I threw at you for the other two guys, McGrew and Pleasant, those were for their career statistics. I mean, those were over the 3 years that they've played ball already. Richard Newton, in only 10 appearances of a single season, 10 appearances in 13 games, the man's gone 117 rushes for 498 yards and 10 TDs, averaging just under 50 yards a game. I just don't know where you go from there. And I just don't know. It's surprising. It's absolutely surprising that there has to be something the coaches don't know and they're not telling us for Newton to not come out on top of that depth order.
Yeah, it's very surprising. I mean, if you watched the show, if you followed the show, I've probably talked about Richard Newton on 3 or 4 episodes already. I'm a huge fan of him. I thought he'd play an extremely key role. I thought he'd be the starter week 1. I mean, not to say, I mean, Jimmy Lake said the depth chart can change. You don't know. I mean, it's probably going to be a rotation at tailback with those 3 guys, and then Cameron Davis maybe later on in the season. Yeah, just bringing it back. Pleasant as the RB1. I mean, we're just judging him off of, what he's done before. I mean, last year wasn't very good, 16 carries, 35 yards in his 11 games just last year. So that's not what you want your starting running back to do. But, I mean, he gained weight, which the coaches say they want a big running back. He put on 17 pounds to get up to the 230. And the running back coach said that he carries the weight good. The really surprising thing from this quote on him, he said that he, let me see if I can get it right. He can catch the ball good, he can block really good, and he runs the ball decent enough. See, I'm stuck on he runs the ball decent enough. I want my running back to be able to run the ball well, run the ball good, not decent enough. So I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, we're judging him off of a year ago. Kamari Pleasant obviously showed something in camp. So let's see what he can do week 1, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the only possible answer I have for you there was I pulled out a table. I actually made a table on Google Docs, so not that impressive. Just insert. 4x5 had Pleasant, McGrew, Newton on top, 4 categories below: running, catching, blocking, and their size. McGrew out of the picture already. No one knows how well he can catch. He hasn't recorded a single reception in his 4 years of being on the UW football team. So that's just out of the question. McGrew has no recorded receptions. Newton has a couple. Pleasant apparently through fall camp has had a decent catching game, has had a decent enough apparently running game, apparently very good blocking skills, and his size now is amazing. McGrew's size not that great, Newton's size great, sure, but he doesn't yet have that. I feel like that ability to consistently block on those tough plays where you have not flipping, I don't remember the word for it, stunting linebackers and linemen, when you have those guys blaring through holes left and right. And I mean, these guys are fast. It's not high school anymore. And yeah, Newton's had some work in this region, but I mean, he has to be blocking consistently. So I think what we're going to see a lot of is Pleasant getting in there, punching in those small yardage plays. Possibly, if his running game has improved this much, we'll see him for bigger runs and more consistently throughout. But I think they need to get Pleasant on that front foot and have him be the starting running back, so they also get used to him blocking. The only reason I say this now is because if Newton comes in, they're just going to know it's a run. But if you have 2 guys running the ball, one of them blocking most of the time, now you can start sneaking in the longer run plays with Newton because they don't know if he's going to block, if he's going to run, or what's going to happen. That's the only answer I could possibly have for you there.